code wizard in the game, true innovator. Been plugging lines, never been a hesitator. Digital soldier, mind sharp like a saber. Azaria the great, he's the one, no debater. Living life through the lens of code, breaking barriers, heavy load. Watching streams, dropping knowledge like gold. Azaria the great, in reality unfold. Bits and bytes as canvas illustrious. Algorithm king makes it look luxurious.
Hello guys, welcome to the channel. This is my first video and I will be joined by my friends from school. We will be talking about the Webstack Portfolio Project, which may still be coming up for some of you guys that are watching. And basically we did this like 2 weeks ago, but I had a lot of things to do and I needed to make sure that I needed to set up the channel, needed to make sure that everything looks proper, because we do have some very professional people that are coming to speak. I'll be joined by Tsakani. She did front end specialization, and then Billy, I believe Billy did back end specialization, and myself, I did back end. Anoona, I'm not sure what he did because he didn't really speak much, but then he was part of the conversation. So I don't know when you're watching this, if you're watching this before your portfolio project, then you can be looking up to get informed about what to look out for, what to expect, and how the reviews are going to go. And if you're doing back end, like full on back end for the 6 months, or front end, or if you're going to be doing the future software engineering, then this video I think will still be pretty much relevant. So without further ado guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe and share the video so that we can make more videos like this. Ciao.
Are you guys able to see the
Yes.
information I just uploaded there?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
All right, cool. So basically, what we have here, I was also working alone on this project. I didn't have any team members; they bailed down on me. But what I was building is a system called Hub that works on real time. So basically, what it does is it's a system used by our retail shops and mainly developed for call center because it's one of my specialties that I work in. So I saw the need for this system. Basically, as clients call in, we have to have their information recorded. So this is to say that this is a platform whereby we keep all the data regarding the client, their timestamps, their kind of queries that they have, and the status, whether it's been resolved, escalated, or not. So basically, like I said, I was working alone on it. The descriptions basically, it's Query Hub is a real-time query management system designed to streamline customer query handling for funeral service call center and administration desk. The system allows users to submit queries, view real-time updates, and generate detailed reports. So on my basically front end, I used React for building the user interface, and then back end I chose to go with Firebase, whereby mostly I used Firestore and authentication. Firestore, I have here. Can you guys see the authentication part now? I've moved from that slide.
Yes, we can see.
We can see it.
All right. So this is the back end. Basically, I had already integrated the front end and the back end. So this is the back end. The only part that I don't have currently running is the front end because it needed configuration. So on this back end, I used mainly authentication and Firestore database. So on the authentication part, this is where basically, as the admin, you get to control the user accounts, as in your staff accounts. So it means for everyone to use this system, firstly they'll have to be added into the system. That is when by adding them you have to when you click add user, it prompts you to input their email address. So anyone that is added in this system uses their email address to be added, and then you create a password for them that is they'll be able to change it as time goes on. So after adding them, now we can see that right here on the 3rd of October, we have this new user. So if this user happens to maybe misbehave, or they have to we have to fire them, or they resign, it means we take charge of the account. We're able to delete account, we're able to disable the account, or even reset the password for that particular user. That is to say, once you're not added in this authentication part, you cannot be able to log in on the front end of things. So moving on to the storage that was used.
Hold on.
We,
Billy, can you hold on 1 second? So, um, is what you're showing right now the app in and of itself? Like, is this the build?
yes, this is the build on the
No,
on
no,
the
no,
back
no.
end. Sorry.
Oh, okay, never mind, never mind. I recall you said that you don't have a front end for this.
Yes, so this is the back end.
So
This is
the whole app essentially.
this is the whole app, but without the login interface where users
Ah,
log in.
ah. No, because my thing, like I'm really sorry to cut your presentation off, is that when you're making this thing with Firebase, there's no real programming involved. It's just like you're selecting stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you're like, okay, cool, which database are you gonna use? And then you're like, okay, this one. And then you go to the authentication thing, and then they ask you, okay, which authentication methods or which things do you want to use to authenticate? And then you just like click the thing. There's no real like building involved. Whereas I think if you had a front end, or if you could cook up like a quick front end to allow users to actually like
The
input
voice.
information, I think that would make it more of like a a solid app, if you know what I mean.
Okay, that's where I said the only other part that I have was the what is this, the demo video of the front end. So
Okay, cool,
the
cool,
front
cool.
end.
Okay, so I think you can continue with finishing off your back end presentation, and then you can come to the
Then I'll
video.
show this front end.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No problem. Where were we? Yeah. So basically, this is the storage whereby once queries are logged on the front end, this is where they are stored, and we are able to also manipulate such queries. The database is able to pull reports, generate reports if we have to, in different formats. It can be CSV or PDF or any type of report that we basically want. So basically, this one is just the front end. I mean the back end side of things, which is the database and the authentication. So now we can take a look at this front end and how it operates. Or any type of report that we basically want. So basically, this one is just the front end. I mean the back end.
Talk, man. Why are you not talking?
Hi.
ALX, hello.
Hello.
Okay, we should relax, mfethu, relax.
So uthiwa hey why angakhulumi manje lo ubani okhulumayo?
Relax, you came late. Relax.
Eish.
Okay, so I see how it works. So basically, what you built was this thing captures data, customer data, right? And then customers are also able to log in, and then, or who logs in? Is it the customer or is it the administrator, like the call center agent?
Okay, the client facing stuff, which is the front end, they're the ones who log in.
So those are the customers, but I don't think it matters because we can see that it's communicating with your back end, and you were alone when you were doing this. So I think that's very fantastic.
Yes, that's the long and short of it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what?
after
Yeah, okay, you can
After
talk.
I saw your front end, I was like, okay, cool. Now I kind of have a full picture of what you've built. So apologies for earlier. I came late and so I hadn't seen that you'd actually fully built it out. But yeah, for building it alone, this is fantastic work. Yeah, really solid stuff. Probably like if you wanted to just like working more for the front end to make it look nicer. But aside from that, I think you have the functionalities you wanted to get at, and you did fantastic stuff. Yeah.
All right, thanks, man. Yeah, well, on the front end side of things, I'm still gonna work on it. Even my when I was doing a review with my mentor, that was one of his concerns, and then I showed that it was a last minute thing because I had to build the whole thing alone. So it was a lot of work. But now that there's time, I'll get to add some nicer features on the UI, and then yeah, all will be well.
And what would you say were your challenges, the most outstanding challenges you faced?
I think the most outstanding challenge was due to time that was very much limited. Um, to ensure that the integration is functionally well was a bit of a challenge because at some point the system was functional. It had integrated, but when I pulled reports, that data went missing in the reports, but then was there stored in the when you log in onto the system. But when you generate reports or you try to pull them, the data wasn't there. Then I figured that there were some configurations on the Firebase that I had got wrong. So it kind of took me a bit of time to debug that, but eventually it went well. Apart from that, um, it went as it was a smooth sailing. Apart from that, I think.
Okay, then how would you say your review went with your mentor? And what tips would you give someone who's going to do a review with a mentor soon?
Okay. My review went quite well, but what happened was, I think prior to the review, we kind of got a lot of scare regarding the mentors that are reviewing our project and the kind of questions that they ask. So I just advise anyone who's to go for a review, first and foremost, just be you, be confident, because at the end of the day, this is your baby. This is what you've built. You are the one to tell your story. This is your story. You tell us. We listen to it. Even if we have questions, the questions will come after. But as long as your story, you narrate it well, you're able to define all the functionalities and what you've done. Um, all goes well. For example, I had made a mistake on my README file. I think there was some information that was missing on the README file, but I was able to kind of cover up for that because during my presentation, I presented everything well and it was well described. My mentor told me that okay, some of the information that I've just related, I had marked it as red flags since I didn't see any of that in your README file, but now that after your presentation, you were able to explain every single detail quite well. That kind of made up for that. So it shows your confidence goes a long way. Know your stuff and just take this as like any other task that you've been given to do and that you're doing quite well and you're perfecting because at the end of the day, it's your work, it's nobody's work.
Okay, incredible. And thanks for the information, for the for you showcasing your work. And all what I want to ask, and this is a general question to everyone who presented. Did any of your mentors mention how many times you have to push to GitHub? Like did they mention like a minimal amount of times that you must post to GitHub, or they didn't tell you that?
Okay, on that one, I remember he mentioned that there were few commits on my side. Like he said, he was expecting to see at least 26 or more commits to the GitHub that I had pushed, and it was lesser than that. But the team that was presenting before me had an amount of commits that surpasses that margin, simply because it was more of a pull request whereby they were working as a team. It means everyone was putting in their work. So in a way, he kind of understood, but the number that he mentioned was at least if we could have 26 commits, it shows that a lot of information was pushed to the GitHub during the implementation or during the construction of the whole project.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I know they mark you out of 10. My mentor said it has to be at least 20 commits. But anyways, so we have less than a minute in this session, so I'm gonna restart the session, send the link again, and then we can have other speakers because it's only been me and you who's spoken so far. Okay.
Okay, can you still hear me? I feel like it's so quiet.
Yeah, we can hear you. Don't worry.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so our project name is called Sky Hire, isn't like a hire to hire someone. We specialize in hiring or renting planes, private planes, and hot air balloons. It was a team of 3 people. It was Tsakani Mohali, that's me, and Eric Orlando, that's my partner, and Masonga, that's the third person.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Do you want to ask me questions or do you want me to move slides and while I explain?
Yes.
Okay. Can you okay. Okay. Yes, I did this project, yo.
Guys, which works best for you? Because I don't have the demo video. That's gonna be with my video.
No,
Okay, anyway, let me
you
move
can
on.
use your slides
Okay,
and then
okay, thank you. Okay, like I said, it's a web application based
Okay.
design to rent out the private jets and the balloons, right? So I saw you asked the question why did you choose your project and why? So this to us it seemed a bit different because not so many people think of something like this. All you see most of the times you see people, it's either maybe they want to create some sort of like a dashboard, things like that. So we decided to go on this road. Not so many people would be. So we thought it's unique. It's sort of like a fresh idea.
hey, where's that noise coming from?
Okay, that's not me. Okay, so in our project, actually, we had a lot of challenges. Maybe one of the good examples for those who are still gonna present. So what we were supposed to do, you asked the question on what we used, sort of like the tech stack that we used. Originally, we used HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap only. So we missed the point where we were supposed to use React because that's the framework that we're supposed to use to showcase what we've been taught, what we've been doing in the specialization. So we didn't do that. Then we went and we presented our project. Everything was done. Everything was working, except that it was not in the language that they wanted, which is React, which is JavaScript. It's one of JavaScript's libraries for the front end part. So we didn't do that. So what happened is after we presented our project, then our mentor told us that he cannot even score us. Okay. He cannot even score us because our project is good, it's done, it works, but except for one main thing, it's not in React. So for that one and only main reason, we cannot be scored to start with. So he gave us an sort of like an option, but it was like do or die, take it or leave it. We only had 1 day left to the deadline, which was on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken. And ours was presented on the 27th. So now he wants us to go and redo the whole project in React. So like that was quite a lot of work. And we had to do that like in 1 day. I remember we did it until the like literally on the last hour to presentation again. So what we did is to change the work we did from CSS, HTML, Bootstrap to React. We had to convert HTML, CSS into components in React, which is one of the advantages in React, the reusability. Because if you use HTML and CSS only, we know CSS for styling, and then HTML is like sort of like the skeleton. So when you use HTML, every time you work on your project, you have to refresh because it's like browser based. But in React, you don't have to move out of the system. You just move from one page to, sort of like swapping, which is one of the main reasons why they didn't want us to use HTML, CSS. They wanted us to use React for the reusability advantage of it. So I guess if I may say, that was one of the main big challenges that we had because we were facing deferment, like he was going to defer us. So I guess compared to other people whom he just told, I cannot score you, you are deferred, or he will just tell you that you are deferred. To us, we were given an opportunity to go because he was quite impressed with our work. So it was like, I've seen that you guys have put in a lot of work except for that one thing that I've mentioned, React. And another thing is we didn't even have the back end. So if you can see here, then when we came back, we had a lot of things included, including the back end, but we didn't do the back end because we are all front end. We use the Firebase as our back end. So you don't have to create the back end. You don't have to have a back end guy. So when you use the Firebase, so it hosts and stores your files, it serves as your back end, and it also hosts your application in Firebase. Like especially if it's not a lot of work, you don't have to pay. But apparently, if like your project is heavy or you are a repeat user, then you have to pay. So that was one of the advantages of using Firebase. You didn't have to use the back end, just front end were good. And then we compensated with Firebase for back end. And then what was the other question? There was a question that you asked that I wanted to answer. Guys, are you still there?
I think I know the
Yeah.
question.
Oh yeah, we're still here.
Yeah,
We were
you guys are so scared and quiet. Yeah.
we were waiting for you to find the question.
Oh yeah, and I forgot, guys, another thing. So before we were even returned to go, like as we had a lot of challenges, at some point we all started to feel like maybe this is not meant to be. Well, I didn't give up. I remember my partner was telling me that, you know what, this is one of the moments where you have to accept that this is not the time. Let's just be fair. Let's just go back to the mentor and tell him that we appreciate that he was giving us a chance, but let's go and get the fair. Yeah, he was ready to go and leave, and I wasn't. So then we convinced each other, and then we came back. God knows how. And then another challenge was, as I was saying before, the mentor returned us to go and do the whole project in React. We lost all our pictures. Like, okay, let me just scroll down and show you. So after we've saved,
That must be the worst thing ever.
I'm telling you, I remember, I think I understand why my partner was giving up, because we had to go through that. And then when we went through that, it was done, it was working, everything was good, it was beautiful, it was functional. And then we're told that, okay, I see you, but you didn't do anything because it's not even in React. So that was the worst of the worst, but the worst had already happened. So when we were working on our pictures, so we lost all these pictures that you see here. So when you get a picture, when you get the pictures that you need to use, you have to resize them. You have to make sure that they are responsive. You have to make sure that they fit into your tags. You have to make sure that they measure into everything that you want to use. So you configure your pictures, sort of. We did that already. Then we lost the file, the whole file, the image file. It was gone. Then we had to redo that. That was even before we present. So we lost all that. That was like the huge challenge. And we learned that see the importance of pushing your work. So my partner was afraid that if we push our work before we present, he was scared of. I remember, Azaria, you said to Billy, I think it was to Billy, when you said thank you for sharing your work. You went, like, you took a risk of not thinking that someone maybe might steal your idea or something. So my partner had that in mind, especially if someone sort of like cloned and we find that we have a duplicate of our project when we present. Like, that was the worst idea, like thinking about that. So we didn't push our work for that fear. And if we did, when we lose the pictures, we're just gonna simply pull them. So we didn't even have that option, because we didn't, for the fear of being ripped off by someone, if I may keep it short like that. Then the downside was we lost the file and we didn't even back it up. So, and what we learned from that is that we could have temporarily made our GitHubs private so that other people do not have access to them. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Because if you make it public, so it means everybody has access to it. But if we could have just went and we changed our Git into private instead of public, as it's supposed to be normally, for that specific reason, that we are safeguarding it to make sure that our work is safe in GitHub. Should anything happen, just like it did, then we are able to pull our work back into our local missions. And we didn't have that option because we didn't think about it. All we thought about was we're safe keeping our work so that nobody steals it. But we didn't think of the possibility of actually losing the files ourselves, and we have no way else in the cloud where we saved it. So I'm saying this to somebody. I hope it helps someone. It can happen because it did happen to us. I hope that you do that. The option is you could just push your work to your GitHub, just change it to private so that nobody has access to it. So you don't have to worry about someone cloning your work before you even present and get surprised. when they say your work is actually duplicate, you copied it or you guys shared your works.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't worried about someone stealing my work because my work is not amazing. What are you gonna do with it? Right?
Well, honestly, I didn't think about it. My partner thought about it, and I started thinking about it, and it made sense because we're thinking, actually, it happened. Let me tell you. There was a back-end guy who presented after us, after the mentor rejected us, right? He told this guy, he was like, wait, can you please go and show me your code? And then the guy went and showed him, was like, he explained everything. And then was like, you know what? I know it, you know it. I've seen this code several times. This is the mentor to the
Several
backend guy.
times, several times.
Yes, yes, yes. He was like, I've seen this several times. So he has seen it before. So he was like, I know it, you know it. Um, so to me, it sort of like resonated to me with me because my partner mentioned something. So now I'm thinking it's either this guy was ripped off or he copied. Either way, we don't know. I don't know. But the mentor, what the mentor was implying was that this work has been done by someone or somebody's before. So he was like, you know it, I know it. At the
You,
end, he defied the guy. Like he grilled him so bad.
you're,
Yo,
So
you're,
Ouch, ouch.
you're,
yeah, so like that
you're
was terrible. So at that point, we started feeling like this is a blessing to us. It's a lot of work, but he gave us a chance to go and fight the second time. So this guy was not given a chance. He told him to go, and he defied him. So actually, we had it bad, guys. We worked our certificate. Like you don't understand. Okay. What was the next thing that you asked? There were some questions that I jotted down that I felt like I really need to put it out there. Maybe it can save someone. Like
okay,
the ones
so
that I've said.
I think the question is, what would you do different if you had to go back? And this question is for
A lot of
this
things.
question is for all of us who have presented. So you can go first. What would you do different that you know that you can the tips that you can give to someone who's about to start or they've already started, but you know that you know they might be wasting time. So what would you do different?
Yeah, a lot of things. Okay, let me tell you. Definitely make friends in time. For a lot of reasons. I'll give you an example. Most people didn't have partners by choice because they have an experience of a situation where someone will partner with them and disappear. So I say make friends, like real meaningful friends, not to try and use them, but people that you have relationships with.
Mhm.
And ask for help a lot of times. That allows you to see who's real, who means well, and who's not. Even before the project arrives, not when the project is here and they say team up, you just find anybody like, hey, do you need a partner? Yeah, I need a partner. Okay, let's team up. That's dangerous. I've seen it so many times. What's best is work with people before. You build relationships. By the time the project comes, that's what I did. Well, by the time the project comes, you already spoke to people who are interested. So you give yourself options in time. You talk to people, you know what's coming. It's not like it's a surprise. You know what's coming, you know it's gonna come. So um don't rob yourself of the opportunity to learn how to collaborate, how to work in team for the fear of someone disappearing on you. I thought about that a lot, but I didn't let that stop me. I partnered with people several times and I learned a lot from those situations. I learned a lot from those people and I'm grateful. And if I were to go back, I'll do it again. I'll partner up again. And but the way I'll do it the same way even. Look for people in time. Build. Don't look for partners. Build relationships before. I think even ALX emphasized this, like to have meaningful relationships. It's a lot of work, I have to admit, because when you talk to someone, most of the times it's either because you want something or you're friends. But how does this friendship start? So it also comes back to what do you do daily? So when you come across a challenge, you talk to people. Between those moments when you talk to people, you are starting to build those relationships. And when you ask for help, a lot of times I assume that if you ask for help, you ask for help mostly from people who knows better than you, because that's when you'll be learning. So it's those people that you build relationships with, and it's gonna come in handy in future. You don't even have to stress about partnering up with people who are gonna disappear on you, because the challenge that I had with my friends, my partners, even now, so now ALX is done, but I now have friends, like meaningful friends, friendships. Um, and now I understand the need to collaborate. I have seen the pros and cons of being in a collaboration, and I wouldn't have learned that as much as I did if I did the work alone. So my advice to you is build relationships, build relationships in time, not for the purpose of using people, but to have a long life learning relationships. Because even when you work, you're gonna need these people. You're gonna need this sort of like growing together. There are people who knows more than you. And my friend was also telling me that the most dangerous situation that you can put yourself in is where you say when you reach a situation where you feel like you know everything. He was like, that's dangerous because especially in tech, things change like rapidly. What you knew today, tomorrow is history, and there are people who knows better than you. So when you have these relationships, you are always on the loop on what's going on. You know something, they know something, you share. So we grow like that. So that's something that I've also learned. And I think, what's the other thing? Proper planning. Yes. What I've realized is that we overestimate, no, underestimate the time allocated for the project. And we feel like I still have time. So my advice, get onto it as soon as possible. Plan thoroughly, but move quickly as well. You can add on your project. The good thing about tech is that you can have a project and you can still go and build more components, build more features as you go. So at the end of the day, you can have something, you can have an MVP, like at least have something, because that's something that I've seen as well. Some people being deferred because of that. They they got too ambitious, like try to curb your ambition. Don't be over ambitious because that might come back and bite you, because by the time you have to present, you might go in with something that's incomplete or something that's not even worthy of presenting to start with, because you had a huge idea. It needed a lot of resources, probably some you do not possess, or it's going to need a lot of being in a position where you have nothing to present, or it's barely presentable. So plan thoroughly, but move as quickly as possible and be realistic. Do something. Or rather the library, JS library. In backend, okay, I don't know much about backend because I was front end, but I assume they want you to use things like MongoDB, I think it's called that, Node.js. So depending on where you are, what you chose, your project, just make sure that whatever you choose, at the end of the 2 weeks they gave us, you will have something to present, something that's complete, there was a person who presented as well. Their project was good, but a lot of times when the mentor asked them, okay, so show me how it works, then the guy said, it's not yet in place. So you can tell that by the way he explains, he knows what he's doing. He has an idea. He actually knows how it's supposed to be. It makes sense, but it's not there. So he doesn't have the MVP. So if you look at it, this is the situation where he got too ambitious and he got overwhelmed before he completes. So the time lapsed before he could finish his project. So my advice, be realistic, cap your ambitions. Just make sure that you have a project that meets the requirements. Like, it should be dynamic. It shouldn't be static. We all know what that means. As long as it does what it's supposed to do, when you click, you click. If it's supposed to send a form requesting information to the backend, then it brings back to the interface for the user to see what's requesting. As long as it does that, then you're good to go. Or
Yeah,
else,
because I
yeah.
think it's more about showing functionality more than showing, how it looks. Because I think for me,
Yeah,
that's the last part. And yes, I was too ambitious also for my presentation because I was trying to build something alone, which needed a lot of back end configurations, and I just couldn't do it.
mm,
But if I had to go back, then like you said, don't underestimate the time frame.
the
Think,
time.
don't think you have enough time, because you don't.
You don't. Before you
Yeah,
know it,
I
it's
don't
here.
have.
You don't have anything.
And that's what happened to me, because I was building a project. But first, I decided to build like a sort of my own personal website so that I can prepare, because I'm already thinking like, ish, I don't want to deal with a lot of bugs. So I'd rather start with something small so I can see like, okay, this is what I'll have to avoid when going for the
Yeah.
main project. And that took me like a week to do, and it was done and it was ready. So because we have 2 weeks, so I was left with one more week to build my project. And I kept getting these
Mm.
emails. I kept getting these, those emails can be threatening, right? Because now you see like
Yeah, yeah. And they put you under pressure.
so now I'm thinking like I probably won't, because these emails are now coming every day. Yeah, you need to book, you need to book, you need to book. So eventually I was just like, it's whatever. I'm gonna present what I worked on as a, like my portfolio project, like my own website. So I was like, I'm gonna present my own website because I'm not gonna be able to finish. Those emails were making me panic. So I decided to book.
Yes. That's the point where I knew that I have to tell someone, beware of that. Beware of being over ambitious. You're gonna run out of time and you won't have anything to present. I've seen so many people break under pressure because they didn't have. The good thing about tech is you can build something simple and you can keep on building on it. But if you run out of time, you have something to present. So you can keep on going back to add these features if you want it to look more appealing, to make it
Yeah.
more usable, if you want to make it into something that people can actually use. Because my partner as well had that worry where he was like, I actually want to build something that people can use. So it was good, but to him it was not good enough. And me on the other time, because I'm an overthinker, which helps sometimes, because I'm thinking, what if we run out of time? Look, let's start working. Should we have time? We can keep on coming back and add this thing. So that saved us because as you can see, we went back, we went and present, and we found that we actually have to go back and redo the project. So um I think it sort of like gave us an opportunity because actually the mentor, remember the mentors are more experienced than us. They can tell what you did, if it was you've put enough effort, if you didn't. Because I feel like honestly, the mentors, it's not like they were kind of um unrealistic, demanding. They there were certain things they were looking for, and they want to produce quality graduates. So they don't want to give away their qualifications because you're going out there to present them. So they want to make sure that you leave with what they have uh, deposited in you. Like if you look at the amount of resources that they have invested in us, so they want to make sure that it's quality graduates who are gonna actually do what they have taught them. So because our mentor, he saw the effort in our project, he was like, because I see the work that you've done, so I feel like it's unfair to kind of like just throw you out. I'm gonna give you an opportunity. If you feel like you can do this, fight for it, come back. We only had one day because it was on the 27th. On the 29th, it was the last day. We had one day. We worked day and night, literally, sleeping and waking up on our keyboards. I remember having to keep my partners awake by saying just something, just to make sure that they are up. Like, hey, friend, hey, hey. Then we worked and we collapsed, and you know what? Until presenting, like literally on the last moment of presenting, we came back. You know what? The mentor didn't expect us to come back. And when he saw our work, he was like, guys, you've done a great job. We went back to the same mentor, and he saw the improvement. We have even done more than what he asked for because he only wanted React. I think that's just about it. Like, don't underestimate the time allocated. Don't dwell so much on planning because you might end up with nothing to present. And what's the other thing? Okay, there's something that I wanted to say, but I think I forgot. If I remember, I think I'm gonna edit one because I think it was also important. I don't know why I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy.
Yo. All right. On my side, I think the most important thing or the crucial thing is first and foremost, you need to know the impact and the scope of your project. I mean, during those presentations, there were people that presented their project, right? Speaking of this issue of maybe cloning other people's projects or stealing their codes, you can just see a nice project or a nice idea out there, try to build something like that. But the minute you don't know why you are building this and the focus of its impact, it's gonna give you problems. For example, you'll fail to answer simple questions like, okay, cool, we can see your project is well built, it's well crafted, but what can you say is the major purpose that it will, or the major impact that it will have? If you're saying you're selling this to an organization, what does it bring that is different from what is already existing? If you're saying right now you're building an aeroplane, in the past we've been traveling using boats and cars, or, or what does the aeroplane bring to the table? You can just mention, no, it will save us time because with the car you have to travel 24 hours. Now with an aeroplane, you travel an hour or 2 hours. That itself is going to be one of your strongest points because it will basically show your mentor that you want to bring change. I get it, we are the one entrusted with to come up with innovations. We are the ones to come up with projects that are to change the future or rather shape the future into what we want. So basically, if you know the impact that your project is going to have and you focus on that, it will give you high score, or you'll be in high regard. Also, I think I underestimated the the rehearsal of this project, of the presentation. I built the project, I did everything, the components were well, and then I just went through its functionalities, but then I never took the time probably to look into the mirror and say, okay, now if Tsakani asked me, okay, what is 1, 2, and 3? How will I tackle it in 5 different ways per se? right? So it's rather important for one to take time after building their project. I know time is very much limited. You don't have time. That is one. Two, the presentation time itself is already limited. So you got to make most of it, especially when you're presenting. So to make the most of it, it means if you're saying you'll be given a curve of 15 minutes, you have to have a rehearsal or a practice whereby you can be able to do this thing in 10 minutes or in 7 minutes, such that the remaining time gives you an allowance to cover some of the gray areas that you may have left out or you may have skipped during your presentation. Also, the other thing I think is to know your content. Once you understand every aspect of your project, trust me, you can never go wrong with that, because you can't say you are building a project that I'll speak on behalf of my project that is able to generate reports, right? And then on the report formats, I have the CSV format and then I have the PDF format. And now, when a question arises, okay, what is this? What is the difference between a CSV format and the PDF format? And then you get stuck right there. It says you don't know every content or every component of your project. So it's rather wise for you to, this is a research itself. You have to engage on every aspect, know what its functionality is, know why you are rather implementing it as opposed to choosing from a different one. That itself, it will give you a better chance of, once you're able to explain to whoever, even if you don't have the answers at that moment, but the minute you have that enthusiasm, one of those situations whereby boldly you're giving an answer but you're getting it wrong, we'll just give you 5 for the confidence, let's say, not just 2 for the effort. Like we say, we're giving Tsakani 2 for the effort. We'll give you 5 for the confidence. In We'll give you 5 for the confidence in that regard. I think the other thing is, you have to be passionate about your work. You can't be presenting the work that you're not passionate about. You cannot, I kid you not, be presenting a work that you're not passionate about, because it says, you've built this work, you're saying this is your project, but you don't seem passionate about what are we to do as the recipients of the product, or as the consumers of the product. You have to be bold about it, be passionate, try and convince this person that, you know what, this thing that I'm selling to you, it'll bring wonders to your life. And trust me, that passion that you'll be exercising, um, it can be very much contagious and leave impression to your audience. You can leave me convinced otherwise. Even if I came into this presentation knowing very well that I can never buy a buggy over an aeroplane, but once you sell your buggy, you'll be passionate about it. The way you talk about it, you show that you know everything about it, most of the parts. And one other thing that we have to be able to do is, there's what we call constructive criticism or constructive feedback. Just because you were told 1, 2, and 3, or there was an interruption during your presentation, it doesn't mean after that now the mood should go down, or the passion or the tone in your voice should go down. Even after there's that constructive feedback, accept it, because at the end of the day, no one is perfect. No one is gonna build something that is so unique. That is why they always say every code that is out there has been written before. We are just what, working on the existing codes, just implementing on the existing code. We are making progress on that existing thing. So it means if you are passionate and then you're able to show your audience or your recipients, sorry, that I know what I'm talking about, and trust me that this itself, it's gonna work. The other thing that I think would be on the visuals. Um, I, for one, I did mention that my technical mentor wasn't very much impressed with my UI user interface. He kind of hinted, not even hinted, he explicitly told me that I remember there's a word that he used. He said it was underwhelming.
Yo,
But that
yo.
itself, Yeah, you said that to my face that it was underwhelming. But despite that, he was impressed with the concept, the integration, um, all the other features. So he had to be explicit on where he wasn't impressed. But nonetheless, that did not discourage me. I after that not Krillin after that review that I had with him, I think I'm one of those whiskeys that have stood the test of time. I can boldly say. After that, I don't know what can bring me down, because in a way it was a nice learning experience that kind of shows you that regardless of what you do, there'll always be a different perspective, either constructing you or derailing you from what you already have. But if you know your stuff, if you're passionate about your stuff, yes, they can say you've built a shitty project, but just be bold and say, yeah, well, I'm passionate about this shitty project. This is my project. Trust me, it will shape how we as the consumers will tend to view that post the presentation, or post the review, or during the consumption time. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
some of the points that I can bring up.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, when we leave that presentation, there's always like something, shots that were fired towards you. So for me, because I wasn't feeling, after what my mentor said, because I presented. So, okay, what I saw a lot of people were doing is they pull up the slide. Like you said, you only have a limited time to present, right? So a lot of people
That's
were
true.
a lot of people were pulling up the Google slides and then starting uh reciting everything they've written on the Google slide and then go on to the main project. But for me, what I did was, because whatever I'm explaining on the Google slides is the same thing I'm going to explain in when I present my project. So what I did is I was just going through my presenting everything with a live project, the website. When I was done, because I think I was really ready for that presentation. When I was done, I was asking the mentor, "Do you have any questions?" And then he said, "No, I don't have any questions." But but you need to, but he was like, "You need to build." What did he say? But like you need to build more complex project, because he felt like that was too simple, you know. And for me,
Yeah, it was underwhelming.
so I didn't take kindly to that, because I even tried to explain myself, but afterwards I realized, when I was thinking about the whole thing, I was like, I should have not tried to negate what the mentor was saying, because now it seems like I'm full of myself. I don't want to learn. I don't want to listen. I want to be defensive. And he was actually making a lot of sense. Like, I needed to showcase more complex back-end integration, not just filling in a form and then accepting a form. Anyone can do that. In fact, you can go into ChatGPT and it can write that code for you. So, like you said, Billy, we must take constructive criticism, because that was my mistake. Instead of saying, yes, you are right, or instead of keeping quiet, then I was trying to explain myself to the mentor. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that can also contribute to your score, because that's some attitude. So, yeah, what I will say to the guys, like Billy said, when you are done presenting, listen to what the mentor is saying to you. If you don't like what he said, keep it inside. Don't talk. Don't be like me. Just keep it inside. Think about it afterwards and see if you can take anything to learn from that. Or if you don't want to take anything, it's fine. But just be humble.
Very much true. That's true.
Agree. I think that helped us a lot as well, because what the mentor did to us, guys, I don't know if there's ever a person who was rejected. Because actually, if I have to be blunt, we were rejected because they told us that it can even score us. We have to go back and redo. So to us, it was like a slap across the face, because imagine the whole 2 weeks we've been working on that, and you come back and you tell us that I can't even score you. But then on the positive side, it was like, if you feel like you're up for the challenge, go and redo it and come back in a day. So I feel like what you just said there, take criticism, like take constructive criticism, because that's how you grow. It was defeating. I don't want to lie, because the project was good. It's just that I'm unable to go to the demo and show you guys because I didn't prepare for that. It was good. So he was like, okay, so I can give you a chance if you want to come back and fight for the second time. And another thing about commits, guys, please commit as much as you can, especially if you're gonna do it in a group. That you can be penalized for. If you find that you are
Yeah,
three
it's 10 marks.
or more,
It's 10
yes,
marks for
they
that. Just committing
they
only.
do.
But
I nearly forgot. If you're
minimum
gonna do it in a group, yeah,
minimum 20 commits. That's what my mentor said because I didn't have a single
a
commit.
person.
I did not have a single commit, right? And I committed the whole project during the presentation because he was telling me because he was telling me I need to defer.
Yeah.
Imagine, my
Really?
project, it's ready, it's there, but only because I didn't commit. So I committed once and I was like, you know what? Let's just do it because I'm not gonna have to wait another month because I didn't commit 20 times, right? So it's very important and it's 10 marks.
Yeah, commit
Guys, I'm curious.
as much as you can. And another
Wh-
thing, don't just commit. Your commit messages needs to be meaningful. I think Alex has been telling this and we took it for granted. Like when you commit, a person just commit yes. You don't even know what they're saying yes to, just to send a commit, like what's that? So it needs to be meaningful. It needs to tell, it needs to speak to what you are committing. It needs to relate to what you are committing. Don't just send senseless letters. They actually go to your commit, something I was not aware of. They go to your commit and they check. And when you are a group of more than two, actually once you're a group from two, they start scrutinizing the number of commits big time. So they look at the commits. So each because a project is a build up from day one, you build on top of each component, each feature and stuff. So it needs to go like that. You pull, I push like that. It needs to build up like that. So they look at that.
Guys, I'm
Yeah.
very curious. Like, if you're working in a group of more than two people, how don't you have commits? Because how are you doing it? So I had a similar problem where the mentor told us that we didn't have enough commits, but
Mm-hmm.
the only reason for that was because we had our project, but then like as we were building so fast that instead of committing, we were just like making versions by ourselves, and then we'd send each other zip files, and then the other person would unlock it and like do their thing. But I mean, if you're working in a group and you guys like have a proper project going, I feel like committing it just makes sense because otherwise how are you guys working together? You know, like what are you guys working on? Especially like if one person makes a particular change to the functionality, but then you're working with the outdated code base, then how like where's the project, you know? I personally I don't understand that part, but I mean if you're working on your own, yeah, you can just like work in your terminal, like cook the thing up until it's done. Because that you committing gets annoying. But if you're working in a group and you're not committing, I don't think you should be marked, to be honest. Because I don't know what it is you're doing. It's highly suspicious.
People can meet in person, eh?
Oh yeah, of
These people
course.
have,
My bad.
these people have relationships beyond work, school, and stuff. I'm kidding though.
Yeah.
It makes sense what you're
So,
saying.
okay, right? You know, because it's like, okay, cool. If you're working in person, and I have the code file, and I share with you the code file in whatever way I do, and we both have VS Code in our local machines. We work. How do the two functionalities meet each other? Like, how do I know what you did and how it relates to like the greater project? You know, it's like, okay, cool. We work in person, and so like the project is you're on your laptop and I'm on mine, and we're looking at two separate things, you know? It's really wild to me, but yeah.
So okay, so you say this you feel suspicious because you think people could have copied code if they
No, I mean,
didn't
even if you
commit.
copy code, nah? Even if you copy code, fine, right? But then the thing is, if it's you and me working now, and we have the same code base. If I'm working on the login functionality and you working on like the registration, right?
Mhm.
How does that work in like our singular app if it's not committed to like say the repo? You know? Because it's like, okay, how are you gonna get my code, right? Or
Yeah.
like, are you just gonna send me like a bunch of code and then it's like just supposed to work, you know? And then how are you gonna like use my code as well? Like, dude, like how I don't understand how that's supposed to work, to be honest. Yeah, that's the part where like I'm missing it.
Yeah, I think with Tsakani, what Tsakani pointed out was they were scared somebody might steal their code, so they didn't commit. I'm not sure how they were sharing the code, but yeah, that's how they did it.
Oh, yeah, no, I hear you. Bro, yeah, like I said, for my group, at some point we just we committed like the first 2, 3 days, and then we just started like making full-on code files and zip filing them to each other, even though we live in the same city, like we'd meet up sometimes, but we just, yeah, make the code on your own, send a zip file, the other person works on it, sends the whole thing or like their own version of the full app, and then you get it, you do your thing. Yeah, it is highly suspicious to be honest, but then it worked, I guess. Um, yeah, but okay, so I'm curious. I don't know if anybody's about to present, but I just have some questions on you guys, like which sectors you guys plan on getting into and how you guys have been dealing with the applications and all sorts of stuff like that.
Anywhere there's money, Baba.
Okay.
Well,
Cold wizard in the game, true innovator. Been plugging lines, never been a hesitator. Digital soldier, mind sharp like a saber. Azaria the great, he's the one, no debater. Living life through the lens of